Hey, I'm Dave,
And I'm Mike.
and we're the Nfgeeks.
Yes, we are.
Yes. All fuzzy and loving.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. So, what are we talking about today, Mike?
Well, we're going to talk about. We had a video response, as you saw, from Good Witch all the way from Great Britain.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about Good Witch for a little while.
Yeah.
First, and respond. We're very thankful for the response.
Very thankful.
That's right.
Oh man, and she sent us a message as well, and has been commenting on our videos, and I'm particularly happy about that. That is fantastic. That's always my heart is just. I can't describe how happy I am.
Oh, good.
That means a lot to me.
That's good, Dave.
Yeah.
I'm happy too. About it. I was pretty. It's pretty funny. I was looking at the background of wherever she lives. It's like, was she filming that in God's waiting room? Does she live on a cloud? It's all white. It's very Ed Effie.
The white sofas.
That's right.
They're pretty nice though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was also thinking too. It must be hard. I had this thought about it. It must be hard to be an NF in England because, as a teacher of philosophy, England is the home of some very hard NTs, and it's the home of empiricism philosophically, and it's the home of the scientific method through Sir Francis Bacon, it's the home of David Hume, and it's the home of Bertrand Russell, and it's home of NT Jesus at the moment. Richard Dawkins.
Richard Dawkins. Yeah.
You can't get more hardcore NT than that. So, and it's funny about the NTs and Richard Dawkins. They have totally disdained for sacredness, but they've all read The God Delusion, and now they're Dawkins. But so part of me thought it must be hard to be an NF and be in Britain, but at the same time, it is home of the Beatles.
Yeah.
So how hard could it be? Really. So, what I wanted to do is talk about intuition. Good Witch talked about her own intuition, and I thought that would be a great topic for us to discuss our N function, our intuitive function, and how we use it, and how it's come up, and what it's done for us, and things like that. So, Dave, let me ask you a few questions. What how strongly do you sense your intuition? Do you have daily experiences with it, or where does it come up in your life?
I'd say my intuition's always there. Whether or not I can pay attention to it is questionable from day to day. Not because, well, I guess I need to be more in tune with it, but also because it can be overwhelming sometimes.
Really? And how can it be overwhelming?
Well, it's just like it's really strong sometimes. Like I get an overwhelming feeling about who knows what. I really that's where I mean overwhelming is like I can't really pinpoint to what the feeling is toward, and the more I try to figure it out, the more muddled and untranslatable it becomes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, so it's really strong sometimes too. Like one time in particular, I was like driving back from Providence, and I was on the highway, and I just got this really weird feeling out of nowhere, just driving.
Oh,
and
boy.
it was so intense that I had to just pull over in like the slow lane and crawl
Really?
20 miles an hour because I thought like it meant I was gonna get into a car accident or something. Like I had no idea what was going on, and I called home, everything was fine. So it's sometimes it's just that weird,
Wow.
It's just that sudden. So yeah, maybe I just need to be more in tune with it. I have no idea. So.
Well, how does it communicate with your consciousness? Is there any way? Is it always through feeling? Is there any thought attached? Is there any kind of symbolism that comes up, or how is it talking to you?
It's talking me through mostly feelings, like like this area. I would have to say.
Really,
yeah.
In your body.
In my body, yeah. And I wish there was thoughts attached to it because then maybe that could be a nice filter. A nice translator or whatever, but no, it's just pure feeling. It's the only way to describe it. yeah, it's like right here ish, and I guess you could use some type of metaphor for it, but I don't know. I guess I'm not that experienced in harnessing the full extent of
Hmm.
intuition or the force, as I like to call it. So, yeah.
That's interesting. Does that mean that when you feel it, it's because you can't harness it? Is it out of control in a certain sense? Is it sort of chaotic?
It is chaotic. I would definitely describe it as chaotic. I would like it to not be chaotic, but I don't know how else to approach it. You know, I do try to listen to it. I always try to listen to it and figure out what it's trying to tell me.
Oh,
But it never, sometimes it works out, but other times, in I just have to end up being, you know, intuitively ignorant.
intuitive ignorance. That's
Yes,
fantastic.
because I really have no option sometimes. It's just I don't know what you're trying to tell me, so I'll just keep walking. But what about you, Mike? What's your intuition experience, and do you have any tips for me?
I okay. Unfortunately, no.
Aw.
I have no tips, and the reason for that is because as an ENFP, my intuition is as strong as yours, but it's running in the opposite direction. Meaning, my intuition is running on the extroverted current of psychic energy or psychological energy. It's
Hmm.
running out from me, and it's intuiting. It's telling me things about the world,
Yeah.
about the external world. Your intuition is just as strong, but it's running on your introverted current. So it's going. That's why it's all on the inside. That's why you feel it on the inside. That's why it's all telling you things on the inside.
Yeah.
You know. So I can't help you there.
Thanks,
I
Mike.
can only tell you, yeah. Well, maybe a little. Maybe this might help a little bit. But I have an experience with it that I think might be common to ENFPs and possibly INFPs, but certainly ENFPs. I think ENFPs might have this experience of it. So this might be helpful to other ENFPs. It could be helpful to maybe the our NT cousins, the ENTPs and the ENTJs, a little bit possibly. You know, so it could relate to them. I don't know, but I'm sure other ENFPs might be able to identify with this. And what happens is that I'll have a very strong intuitive moment about a person.
Mm-hmm.
It's not cosmic. ENFPs don't have cosmic things like there's meteors coming or anything like that. Oh, well, maybe they do, but I don't. But I certainly have intuitive moments about human beings in a specific moment, and it's very quick. And I'll have this intuitive moment about somebody, and that intuitive moment will tell me something about them that's absolutely right. I mean, always. It's always, always, always dead on right about a person. So I'll have this intuitive moment with another human being, and it might be somebody I've never met. It might be somebody I'm only meeting in that moment for 2 minutes or whatever, or it might be somebody I know very well, like you or someone else. And I'll have this intuitive moment, and then that will cause me to have a feeling. Right. Okay. Now that feeling is on the inside, because my feelings are more introverted. The intuition's going out, but my feelings are not, and it'll give me some kind of feeling about the intuition that's giving me anxiety. Okay, it'll give me, fear or shame or guilt, or it'll make me upset, but there'll be some kind of angst that I want to get rid of. And then I'll go into some sort of rationalization, and that's never good for an NF because that means your thinking is coming in, and our thinking is weak.
Yeah.
So I'll get into a rationalization where I'll use my perceiving function, my P function, to come up with a possibility of the reality of the situation that negates the intuitive moment but relieves the anxiety from the feeling. Okay, so here's it quickly. I'll get an intuition. I won't like what that intuition's telling me. Okay, I'll start having anxiety about it, and then I'll run through all the possibilities as to why the intuitive is wrong, and pick a possibility that is not necessarily real or correct, but relieves the anxiety. And that leads me off the path.
So you're using rationale or
Yes.
logic to be ignorant to your intuition.
Yes, to negate the intuition because the intuition is telling me something I don't want to hear at all. Okay, it's telling me something that's making me miserable. So I don't, that's giving me some kind of anxiety.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, I guess at least you have a system.
That's well. What I've learned though is that the final product of this process is always, always, always wrong.
Oh.
Because I'm not picking a probability that is likely or is even in touch with reality. I'm simply picking the probability that relieves the anxiety that my feelings are having, and that the initial intuition is always, always, always dead on right, dead on right. So what I've had to learn to do is to listen to the intuitive moment and follow that, no matter what it's making me feel, no matter how horrible it's making me feel, no matter how much anxiety it's making me feel. I am to ignore my feelings and to follow the intuitive moment, no matter what, the intuitive message, whatever it is.
So how do you follow it? How do you know that you're following it correctly?
Well, what'll happen is, the intuition always comes first.
Right.
Okay, and it's funny. My intuition has that's why I was asking this. My intuition has a voice, and it comes into me like a sentence. I'm always able to verbalize it, but it's a really weird detached thing because it almost feels like I'm reading. Like it's coming out of my mind, of course, but I'm sort of having this separated consciousness of the intuition, and I'll always manifest it as a sentence. I'll say it in my head, or sometimes I'll even whisper it out loud. This is what's really going on with this person. What's really happening is, and I'll say it all out, and I'm sort of listening to my own voice or reading my own voice. And it's almost like, and the NTs are going to roll their eyes, but it's like channeling. Like it feels like channeling, like that sentence, even though it's coming from me, is somehow also coming from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so that'll happen. And this happens a lot. It'll happen, and then I'll have the feeling, and then I'll go through the process, and then I'll have to remember, okay, whatever I first thought that triggered this chain of events, that's what I have to follow. So when I go back over my anxiety, when I go back over the possibilities and then over the anxiety and find the first thing I was thinking that led to the anxiety, that's what I need to follow.
Yeah.
I have to sort of dig back in and then get to the intuitive thought and then follow that. No matter what. It's not easy.
No, I can't imagine.
It's because what happened for a long time in my life is I'd have the intuitive moment, have anxiety about it, not follow it, and then be kicking myself, later, like, oh my God, I can't believe, I knew the answer. I knew this was going to happen and I didn't follow it. That happens to me a lot.